interesting compared to the offers. Everybody's like doing like slick funnels and all that. And then there's James, who is fuck all that. You can just sell on the back of a dock. Do you want to say a little bit more?
Yeah, fuck all that is the consistent theme of every kind of S-curve I've been through.
What is coaching anyway?
I'll give you two definitions that are useful for people. Coaching is helping people find the answers within themselves that they actually already possess. The thing is just telling them what to do.
And now you are rolling out this new product where you're going to leverage the heck out of AI. And you call it Virtual JK.
He is me, but he works a lot harder than I do. He's a replicant of me.
What goes into engineering a good offer?
Promise, time, and price. And the outcome is a binary offer.
Why people have those objections when the solution is in front of them?
Predominantly because people think in identities.
Like the internet kind of fucked us where we see people who are far.
The reality is that most people don't make it to the future because they don't start today.
Is your day busy?
You're the only thing in my calendar today.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode on the HighLevel Experience podcast. Our guest today is somebody who walked away from the corporate world, failed at building a consulting business, and then flipped the entire model on its head, going on to build not one, but $2 million consulting businesses by rejecting everything most people are taught about sales, marketing, and growth. He's the guy who says most consultants are stuck running on hope marketing, hoping the phone rings, hoping referrals come in, while he's built systems that predictably attract, qualify, and close clients at scale, with as few as 65 clients and just a couple of days of work per week. And what's really interesting is his entire philosophy challenges the traditional grind. No cold calling, no chasing, no guesswork, just positioning, leverage, and what he calls getting paid to exist in your market. Please welcome to the show, James Kemp.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you on the show, James. I've been following you for a while. I've been a big fan of Taki Moore and what you've been doing. That's how I've found you a while back, because I was part of Taki Moore's thing and you're doing work with him. So, mate, I've been impressed with what you've been putting out there, and things stood out because, like, in this space, digital marketing, like SaaS Agency owners, at least for me, it's been like that anyway. My feed on Facebook, and that's kind of like the main channel where I'm hanging out, it's just full of other marketers, and it's interesting compared to the offers. Everybody's like doing like slick funnels and all that, and then there's James, who is fuck all that. You can just sell on the back of a dock. So it's interesting, and obviously that's been working just from what I've seen. But for the guys who don't know you, do you want to say a little bit more about who you are, and just so they get to a bit of an understanding before we dive into all the good questions?
Yeah, fuck all that is the consistent theme of every kind of S-curve I've been through. So yeah, the more interesting part of the story started 16 years ago in the UK. Knocking on doors, trying to run my first business. I ran a little finance company and I was selling door to door. And knocking on doors in the cold English winter isn't very much fun. So self-taught myself WordPress and then Google Ads at the time, and started generating the leads that I used to door knock for on websites and then selling them. So my first business was reselling finance leads in the UK, and then a little financial wobble happened in the world, and all my customers went out of business overnight and got into the daily deals market. Ran up to $121 million in sales where I ran product and marketing. Got out of that, started consulting, was like, I have to go to people's offices and sit there kind of like a job and tell them like clever things that they kind of don't do, and went fuck this, and met a young kid called Sam Ovens at the time, and he said, hey, you can do all that on the internet. And I was like, hey, I know how to take things in person and sell them on the internet. Packaged my first program, e-commerce engine, working with e-commerce stores, helping them scale. Ran that up to just over $1 million. And then again, fuck this comes into the next equation. And then 5 years ago, around a certain global pandemic, had to change countries very quickly and return to New Zealand, and started writing all my offers inside a Google Doc, rather than doing sales calls and those things just out of necessity, and ran that up to a couple of $100,000 a month. and kind of innovated on a few things that I was taught through mentors like Travis Sago and assembled a system that worked super well for me. And then when my marriage ended 3 years ago, decided to cut that down even further, let go of my team, stop doing services. I had 3 GHL white labels that I'd partner with people on and just cut down to 2 days a week and ran that up in public to 3 million a year. And here we are. So the theme is do something, find that there's probably a better way that works better for my life, because that was the consistent theme all the way through. And then work out a way to optimize for life and then get paid to exist along the way.
I bet it's freeing too when you pivot.
It's difficult though, right? Out of the pivot, and I'm sitting in my office here, there's a whiteboard over there, and twice a week I get people in this who fly in from different parts of the world, or a local here in Bali where we have quite a big online kind of community. And everyone's trying to pivot to some degree because they want more or they want better. And so the art of the pivot is taking the essence of what you've already got and works and is successful, and then optimizing it for something that works better for you and ultimately for the people you serve.
Yeah. Is that something interesting you said when you moved back to New Zealand and you changed to selling on the back of the dock rather than doing Zoom calls out of necessity? What did you mean by that?
The first lockdowns that happened in New Zealand meant that I was literally working in a garage underneath a house that we were stuck in for 5 weeks. So had 2 young kids in the house and literally was basically in a cupboard. At the time, I didn't think it was an appropriate place to be this kind of high authority, high ticket closer on a Zoom call, because everything had gone from doing sales calls to doing it face to face. And so went, okay, I can make this offer manually through a Google Doc. And that was when I really kind of pioneered the way that the offers are financed, because I flipped it on its head and then really innovated around weekly payments, which is something I've become known for and has unlocked tens of millions of dollars out of audiences and offers that people already have just through financially engineering them properly. And so there was necessity, forced necessity, and then make it work, which life has a way of doing that, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's impressive though. So, okay, I can't get on Zoom. It doesn't look representable. I'm in a cupboard and probably noisy and all that. So you just put it in a Google Doc and it's working. What makes it work?
Everything up to $10 million a year comes down to the offer. And pattern that is happening along the side of my observations of the things I've executed is a lot of folks get really stuck in the identity of the business they're in, and then they just run this script and this playbook, and it constrains them in it. For example...
Sorry, I'll just jump in there, because this just reminded me of an episode I had Johan Noguera, Walt Bailey's, and we talked, and they were talking about how they pivoted from White Level Suite to AI XUp, and then that was back then anyway. And I was saying, yeah, like some people have business and they just too emotionally attached to it. They don't let go of it. And I was saying, this is a tip from a mate of mine he's a CEO here in Canberra. He runs an innovation center. And one of the 10 rules of innovation is you got to know when to kill the puppy.
Yeah. And one of the puppies is people's identity. At the top of this show, you said you're an agency owner, right? And just that choice of identity puts you on this conscious and unconscious, in many ways, path that means that you do things that an agency owner does. You act like an agency owner, you speak like one, etc. You talk to other ones who do the same things. And I've never been good at playing with the other kids. I've always, throughout my life, attempted to return back to myself in terms of that I am me, and that is my identity. And every time I felt myself getting dragged into a place where, hey, you're a high-ticket closing consultant, that means that you do things a certain way. You have to be selling something expensive on a Zoom call where you present this big price up front, and then you and an agency owner actually does a lot of things. And it has you have a lot of modalities where you deliver value. And at the end of the day, when you have skills, you just deliver value through those different modalities. For example, an agency owner does tons of consulting. An agency owner does quite a bit of coaching of the people in the business, because a lot of the problems the agency is asked to deal with are actually people problems rather than technical or marketing or operational problems. They're problems of the mind and the soul, right? And so I've just been good at slipping my way out of the constraints a lot of people put themselves on, where they say, I'm a consultant, and they assume that identity. I'm a coach. Most online coaching, no coaching happens. Like, most of the business coaching world is actually consulting, because it's giving people systems, methods, and repeating them and telling them what to do, right? And so along my journey, I've just been able to help people deliver skills, accumulate skills, coach, consult, mentor, deliver services along the way, in the mix of getting people a result. And that's allowed me both a lot of freedom, but also one of the most efficient businesses on earth, because it's me and a virtual assistant, because I can monetize every single skill I've got in the most effective way possible to me.
That's brilliant. This is a good segue. Monetization and leverage. So your skills, your experience, and the craft of coaching. What is coaching anyway? It's just getting from somebody from A to B, like just get them to figure out, because you're not force feeding them what they should do.
I'll give you two definitions that are useful for people, because coaching is helping people find the answers within themselves that they actually already possess.
Yeah.
Consulting is just telling them what to do, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They are very different when you deliver and sell them, because coaching can take a lot of time, because you have to allow the person to come to the conclusion or the answer themselves so they can move forward. Consulting is do this. Do you have the resources and tools and skills and etc. to do this? No, maybe I can supply them. And so my preference is to coach in person, and I can consult in any way possible. I can consult with massive leverage through nowadays my AI replicant, all the way through to consulting in a room, standing on a stage and telling people what to do. But I found, both for myself and the people in my world, that those distinctions are very useful, because you can actually then package those up and monetize them appropriately.
Yeah, it's important to understand those distinctions too, because sometimes everybody likes to call themselves a coach and they're actually consultants maybe. So yeah, that's great. And do you find with coaching, it's more like you have to apply in an ethical way, apply a little bit of NLP as well, as opposed to consulting, right? Because it's just information, consulting, presenting. And also, it's just a nice segue, right? So if you get somebody on the coaching side first, just to get them to come to realization, get them to actually own their new choices, whatever, then they might come for the consulting, because now, okay, cool, like I'm ready, I get it now, that's what I need to do. Okay, how do I do that now? And that's like nice swap into consulting. So the business model is lean, it's effective, and now you are rolling out this new product where you're going to leverage the heck out of AI, and you call it Virtual JK.
Virtual JK.
I watched your video.
He is me, but he works a lot harder than I do.
I was chuckling. I was having a laugh yesterday. I was looking on Facebook. You put up a post, and it was like, Virtual JK just gave me a roast. I don't know what the caption was, but it basically got roasting you on a couple of things. Actually funny. But do you want to just elaborate what this whole thing is and how did this come about?
Yeah, the thing I've been known for over a decade is offers. I've sold 22 million of my own. I've helped behind the scenes on some of the biggest offers that people know about. And when AI came out, I sat 6 months on the sidelines looking at it going, how do we use this? And for me, the process of developing or building an offer or optimizing one is quite time consuming. It had to happen on Zoom or in person, and it could take hours to actually understand the audience, understand the positioning, the context, the pricing, the deliverables, et cetera, to package something that was truly scalable. And the first AI tool that we built was called the Offer Printer, which was just taking the hundreds of millions of dollars of offers that I've been involved in and actually documenting and feeding it into AI to help someone develop an offer. So I could go from spending 2 or 3 hours with someone developing an offer to that happen in about 8 minutes. When we launched the tool to my client base, and I've got quite a large client base, so I've got a good testing ground, they just wanted more stuff because I'd taken one process from hours or weeks, or in some cases months, and condensed it down to a few minutes. And so they wanted more. And then they wanted, you're the guy who writes an email every day. How do I do that? How do you think? How do you... And so we accidentally, on purpose, built a platform, and then of a suite of tools, just a lot of people have. And then I was using School at the time, and people were flicking across back and forth between the School community features and then going on Zoom to my weekly community calls and then going in the tools. And I was like, this sucks. So we built community features. Then we took the whole training library and then built it into the platform. Then we took everything that we had off our WhatsApp channel and put it into community chat. And then September last year, we had a full-fledged platform. And then people said, can I have one too? And 15 people have licensed it to date in different ways, which is really fun and innovative. And then along this journey over the past, only relatively recently, the past 3 months, I've realized that Virtual JK, which was my do-it-all AI clone, actually was an entity. It's a thing. It's alive that people are talking to. There'll be 60 to 70 people talking to him right now. And then when I saw we've got 535 active clients in there, and on any given day, there's about 200 active users on the platform. Mm-hmm. He's doing stuff now that I don't want to do. I love Facebook ads. I think they're the most powerful thing in the world. I hate running them. I hate talking about them. I hate writing them. I love to see the results from them, but I'm kind of done unless the circumstances are right, kind of like consulting and right. But Virtual JK loves it. He'll be there all day, all night, making you ads and like looking at your current. We've integrated with the Meta ad library and those things and giving you hooks and angles and telling you what's good. And I'm like, this guy's amazing. And so I realized especially over the past few months, that he's a replicant of me. He's not a clone. He's actually a living, breathing entity that people are having. And in the back end of our platform, we've got a rich data conversational thing. And people have said to me that they will have conversations with him that they won't have with me, right? Because he's endlessly empathetic. He's patient. He's occasionally rude and condescending, but so am I. But the replicant is developed into a fully fledged entity. And now he's got his own Instagram channel, and now he's there. So I'm just training him to be my next $1 million offer. And honestly, I made a video yesterday, and I'm sandbagging it, man. We're already at a 15K a week run rate with memberships with him, and so he's selling, he's delivering, and he's shown me how we can completely remove funnels, because he just helps people get a game plan from day one. And then says, hey, this is a great plan. Do you want to do it together? Here's our membership options. One of the membership options, the annual option and the lifetime option that people choose, includes a call with me. So then we kind of co-work with him. And yeah, I'm most excited about the replicant because there's so many skills locked up in people. And this references what I was saying before in terms of, I meet agency owners who are amazing coaches and consultants, yet they don't do it. And they're frustrated with that. They don't sell it. They do it naturally, but they kind of want to help more people. They want to really get under the surface of a lot of the kind of surface level problems that agency owners and marketers have to deal with. That they want to get more under there, but they're kind of constrained by that. And a replicant throws the tethers off because you can actually work in different levels. And I have a very simple 3-tier model now where you pay a little bit of money and you work with Virtual JK and a tiny bit of me, all the way up to you pay a lot of money and you work mostly with me, and Virtual JK does the work that neither of us wants to do. And that model works for a heck of a lot of people, because now AI can do the things around consulting and execution layer and delivery. We've got a new way to address the market that gives us the depth that we want as people who help people, but also the width that other people want who just want shit done. I want someone to run my ads, build my funnel and those things. And now we've got AI. We can deliver on things that we couldn't deliver on before because the execution layer is being eaten by LLMs.
That's brilliant.
And it's fun. It's fun. Having a replicant that's not me, he can talk shit all he likes about my content and say things, and he can be very specific, right? He is there to help people get a 3K offer, scale it to 3K a week, and scale it to 3K a day. He's trained to do that. He will do it 24/7. He can help thousands of people all at once, and he's focused. I'm not that focused. I'm just having fun along the way and getting paid to do it. So.
You may not realize this, but for the last 2 years, I've had a secret weapon that has made running my business inside of HighLevel so much easier. You see, there is so much that HighLevel can do, which is amazing, but it's a lot of work to stay up to date with it. And even more so if my customers are asking me questions about it. And this is why I'm excited to announce that our show is officially part of the HLPT Creator Network. This is HighLevel Pro Tools, an organization that I've been using to run support for my customers, as well as give me a ton of awesome epic add-ons that make running, launching, and differentiating my SaaS inside of HighLevel so much easier. And now that they're an official sponsor of the show, they've done something pretty bloody awesome. If you go to hlpt.com/experience, you can get one of their incredible tools absolutely for free. No purchase necessary, just for being a listener on the show. So head over to hlpt.com/experience, grab that free tool, and I promise you this is going to improve the conversion rates on your page. Check out all the other stuff that they offer and tell them that Vit sent you.
You know what's wild? There's a smarter way to grow your agency and help more local businesses without adding more stress. That's what HighLevel does. It's your all-in-one sales, marketing, automation, and AI system. No more duct taping tools together or paying for 20 different subscriptions that barely talk to each other. I've been using it for 5 years with my own white-level version, Stand Out From the Pack, helping Aussie businesses like Dimitri, a Canberra electrician, who now runs his jobs, quotes, calls, and follow-ups with our built-in AI employee. If you're an agency, HighLevel lets you do exactly that. Support your clients in new ways while building stable, recurring revenue every month. And if you're a local business, partner up with somebody who knows your market and your industry. If you're in Tasmania, my mate Jared from Boulder Digital, for example, has you covered. If you're in Canberra, that's my turf. Check out standoutfromthepack.com.au and we'll get you sorted. The point is, there's probably a high-level agency or SaaSpreneur near you. We're seasoned marketers, tech-savvy super nerds who love helping local businesses grow. We're global, we're connected, we're high-levelers. Now, I've got something really special for you guys. I've negotiated an exclusive 30-day HighLevel trial that's double the usual just for you. Sign up your agency through gohighlevel.com/Vit or upgrade your existing plan, and I'll hook you up with over $3,200 worth of bonuses, resources, templates, and snapshots I normally give to my private clients only. So whether you're scaling an agency or leveling up your business, start with the right system. gohighlevel.com/Vit or team up with your local SaaSpreneur and let's make business simple again. One platform, one login, no duct tape, just results. It's interesting. I gotta tell you, this AI thing, I've been using it back in 2020, I think 2021. I was using Jasper, right? And then they renamed it because they had the shits with Marvel. And then
It felt magical back in those days, didn't it?
it definitely felt like I got a secret weapon and nobody's talking about AI. So this is really cool. But then the GPT came along and it's just really just open up. And last year I was kind of like, I guess a little bit same to like what you were saying, like just watching it from afar for the first 6 months and like trying to figure out what to do with it, because it was like this is all just, I'm just being careful with where I put my focus and time. And we're all like a little bit ADHD and like by nature as entrepreneurs, so it's really easy to get stuck into all the shiny syndrome things, right? That's all cool new tools. And I've been like that for years, and I'm just trying to like self-manage. So I was like just watching it, and I'm very much entrenched in the GHL ecosystem, what people are doing, and seeing what like Mario's putting out. Like he's on another level. But I'm just all watching all this, and then going back to just, I've got my own business here to focus on, so I'm not going to do anything. And I haven't. Now I'm definitely diving into a lot more, because I'm just realizing there's also a risk of inaction for too long where you miss the opportunity, because it is now very clear to me that it's just a massive opportunity with just AI in general, like helping businesses implement it, whether it's voice AI agents, chatbots, or integrating MCPs or all that other stuff. And I also feel like there's a window before it just becomes very easy for everybody and they won't even need you for fulfillment at some point, because things are getting really good.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I think the window's a lot. I think the window for services and delivery, I think the window is massive and never ending.
Yeah.
I was a marketing director 12 years ago, and people were coming to me and selling automation, right? They're like, we can automate this, we can automate that. I know people are making millions of bucks a year before AI selling automation and now are doing it faster and simpler, and they're still selling automation. It's just AI driven and enabled automation. So it's the same as, admittedly, there's more competition and it's become commoditized, that people still make money from building websites. The unlock for me was when everybody was paying attention to the tools. Which is the best tool? And that's the same. I still get asked to this day, what's the best social media platform to get clients on? And I'm like, the one you consistently post to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. And AI is, what's the best way to use AI? It's to compress and accelerate a process you already do. For me, it was just, what do I do first? I spend a dozen hours a week writing offers, creating offers, optimizing offers, getting feedback on offers, helping people think about offers. So build a tool that compresses that. And then I'd eliminated 10 hours a week, and my effective hourly rate, which I measure in terms of the quality of business I'm running, shot up essentially 5x'd. And I'm like, okay, what process can I apply it to next to compress? And so when you run process for yourself and for other people, it doesn't matter what, is it the best tool, is it the market opportunity, etc. If you save time and you save energy in compressing a process you already do, and you turn around and package that, you're better off tomorrow doing that than you were today, because you've got the scarce thing back, which is time.
And it kind of gets us back to the idea of selling on the back of a duck. You've streamlined the process instead of having funnels to go through and all the different friction points and touch points to go through to just one dock. Interesting.
Yeah, all the benefits are just indirect. One of the metrics I've come up with over the years is offers made. And the problem, or the challenge, if you like, with high ticket closing is that you can only make as many offers as you can get on calls. So if you've got a salesperson and they can do 20 calls a week and you can get 20 book calls, you make 20 offers. With a document with the same funnel with the same levels of traffic, you can 5 or 10x that, right? So you go from 20 offers a week to 100 or 200. And if you've got a good offer, what happens? You sell more stuff, right? And it's just maths. And in many cases, people are manufacturing bottlenecks because of that identity issue, where they're going, this is the way it's done because that's the way it's done because I'm an agency owner or I'm a coach. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. But I'm here to help people, and I come up with ways to do that.
Can we talk about the offers a little bit? Can I pick your brain on this just a little bit for the guys listening as well? What goes into engineering a good offer? Like bird's eye view.
Promise, time, and price. And the outcome is a binary offer. 10 minutes before we got on, I invited someone to my mastermind, the Sovereign Society. And it's $400 a week. You get 2 calls with me. You get a one-on-one onboarding call with me. And we hang out 3 times a year in different countries. And you can come to my house 6 times a year when I open the doors to the Bali Blueprint. And the plan is to build $1 million solo business. If I can make that offer in a Facebook message and attach a price to it, and someone can say yes or no. 99% of people are going to say no, and 1% of people are going to say yes, or even less. Then that's the criteria of an effective offer. And so it has a price, it has a time frame, it has deliverables and those things when you're getting into the is this right for you piece, and it has a goal or an outcome. And then when you think about other ways you can engineer something, you can have guarantees depending on if people know you or don't. you can have different types of pricing that reflect the risk that people are taking. But ultimately the offer has a promise, it has a price, and it has a time frame that happens over.
So how do you get to that point where you're pitching that offer in that message? Obviously you don't go straight up and just dropping that on the first go. There's a bit of a fluff in front of it, like the sell by chat thing, isn't it?
It's not fluff, it's truth.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm bringing the truth onto the table, which is the individual in my Facebook Messenger. We agreed that he wanted $1 million a year profit, solo biz he could run on his own before any of that happened. When you agree that this is what someone's desire is through conversing with them, I want this, then you ask the magic question when you help people is, do you want some help with that? And if they say yes, you give them the offer. So in this sovereign society, over the next year, we'll work together to build you $1 million profit solo business you can run from anywhere. We get on a one-on-one call to get a plan. We've got a couple of Zoom calls a week with me. They're at these times and these times because the logistics start to come in. Yeah. It's $400 a week, or if you want to pay quarterly or annually, you get these things as well. Oh, by the way, we also can hang out up to 9 times a year because that's a benefit, it's a bonus, if you like. And this is what we do. It's, do you want it or not?
I like it.
And even at that stage, when someone says they want it, doesn't mean they're going to buy it.
Right, yeah.
And so if someone says no, then that is healthy because they're not ready, they don't trust you or trust themselves, or there's things they feel they have to do before they do this and actually pursue the thing they want. So you'll get an objection. I've got some clients that I don't want to work with anymore, and I've got to tidy up those before I move into this. So I have quite a large cohort of people who are coming from agency land or corporate consulting land where they have to tidy up stuff before they can feel they can fully focus on that. And then I can say, I understand where you're coming from. If you can give me 3 hours a week, we can build some clients alongside of that to get that rolling so you're not turning one thing off and turning another thing on, which is quite stressful. So a closer would probably call that an objection handle. I just actually describe the reality of what's actually going to happen. Don't burn everything down to the ground and then have to start up again. Let's get something running alongside it. And actually, you're making 20 grand a month corporate consulting. Let's get 20 grand a month of online consulting to replace that so there's no financial stress on you and you can keep moving.
It's funny. When I was personal trainer, I had sometimes somebody would inquire or I would follow up and trying to get them on one-to-one personal training. And if they were really unfit, first it happened a few times. It's weird one. It's I really want to start training with you, like the offer and all that. I just need to lose a little bit of weight first, and then I'll touch base with you. What?
Yeah.
It's the whole thing of what I'm offering is gonna help you. Why do you why is it that? I wonder why people have those objections when the solution is in front of them.
Predominantly because people think in identities, right? And so people think
identities.
The fat person thinks in the fat person's identity because they have a fantasy of what it will be like when they lose weight. And they're a fat person now because they don't do certain things and they do other things. And so they understand that there's a set of behaviors that go into this new identity of a thin person that they're going to have in the future. And they believe that's going to the gym and working with a personal trainer. And then they think that they need to graduate to that. And so they can't leave the old behaviors. They feel that they need to change the current behaviors rather than just leave them behind and become that person by default by just doing those things and that. And by default, going to the gym to lose the weight to become the thin person because they've got the cause and effect the wrong way around. And most people think like that. They think that the identity in the future is something that happens rather than it just arrives through shedding the old one and putting on the new one. The fat person turns into the thin person by going to the gym, but they think that thin people go to the gym. And so they've got causality the wrong way around. An agency owner pivots into a more leveraged business, not by killing all their agency clients and switching to group consulting. It's by adding group consulting onto the side of it to get more leverage and more time back, and then they slowly become a consultant rather than an agency owner. And so when people think in identities, they think that there's a line between them rather than this kind of just switching seesaw where the behaviors just change over time.
That's a great answer. Thanks for elaborating on that. Now, how would you coach somebody through that process?
Minimum viable actions, right? People have largely, if you start working with an agency client, right, and you're in lead generation, and the local business has 2 leads a week from their website. When you ask them, like, how many leads a week do you want from your website? They're going to say 100 or some absurd success number.
Yeah.
Like, all the agency owners know what I'm talking about right now. And they're going to say some kind of absurd number because they think that success looks like this because of reasons, right? And the internet's like mind-fucked everybody into what actually good looks like, because everything needs to be some unattainable exception, which turns into this massive demoralization scheme because no one's ever good enough. And all I do is I say, would 3 leads a week next week be better than what you got now? Binary question. If you answer no, you're going to struggle to work with them because they can't think on any kind of rational level, right? So you'd be ramming everything down their throat, and then you'd be like, do I actually want to work with these people because the expectation gap is so big, I don't think we can close it in enough time to develop a relationship. And so when you say, would 3 leads a week next week be better? And you get a yes, and you say, this is what we're doing, and you shrink the time horizon to what would look good to you in a time that you can actually imagine. And that's probably tomorrow, next week, or next month. But what a lot of people sell is they go, in 90 days, we're going to be generating blah, 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 and they stretch the success gap out, and then they go, why has no one crossed it? Well, because it's really fucking hard. It's really hard for them to change, and it's really hard for you to do that, and they know that, and so you've actually sold friction rather than just made it easy and said, how about we get you 3 leads next week, and this is how we start. And that's one of the corollaries to why I use weekly pricing and some of the time compression methods and pricing and payments, because you can actually shrink time horizons and get people moving. And once they're moving, your only job is to keep them in motion. And many of my most successful clients today, 3 years ago, were not unsuccessful because they were stuck or anything. They just weren't in motion. They were just doing a bit of this and a bit of that, and then curling back on themselves and et cetera, and sabotaging themselves. And all I did was like, hey man, should we just put an offer together and put it in a doc and get a client? Like one, right? There's someone in my community right now, and he's like amazing, right? He's exited a business, sold an e-commerce business, built another one, sold it, like track record you wouldn't believe in. But he's been looking at the gurus, and he thinks that unless you have 100 people in your course, in your community, and you're having these Zoom calls with all these people going, that it's not success. So he's not starting. And I'm like, dude, just get 3 clients. That's a group. Because in his mind, it's hundreds, because people less good as him have hundreds of people in their e-commerce program in their community, and they've always did it. And I'm like, get 3 clients. 1 or 2 of them will turn up to Zoom every Tuesday, and you'll have a pretty quiet community, which means you can lead in and overserve them at the beginning, which helps you create material. And then you've got clients to talk about results on the outside, which gets more clients because success gets success. And everything that's successful started somewhere and just needs to be in motion. And I've just got good at putting people in motion, but I've also got very good at helping people see that actually the first step is just here, right? If you didn't have a client this week and you got a client next week, that's a win. If you're getting 2 leads this week and you get 3 next week, that's winning, right? And so great offers, great content, etc., put people in motion and they keep them there.
That's great. I like that. Because it's like what you were saying before, like the internet kind of fucked us where we see people who are far
There's a
ahead
purple book. There's a purple book. It's up here.
Yeah.
That mind fucked everybody into stretching the goal out. Is it the purple one or the... No, it's the purple.
The green one is the latest one.
It mind fucked everybody into stretching the goal out and making absurd guarantees and massive promises. So it started this arms race, and all it did was drag success into the future. And the reality is that most people don't make it to the future because they don't start today. And in so many ways, coaching, consulting, services, mentorship, anything, is just putting someone in motion and keeping them there. And big promises, huge guarantees, and all these pieces, in most cases, the way they're deployed serve to do the opposite of that.
And I also think when it comes to successful business, is just oftentimes just doing the boring stuff over and over again, and not always be motivated by the keep in the motion. Is initially you want to see some success, and that makes you want to keep going in the motion. But then once you form a habit, then you just keep doing it. It's like brushing your teeth, right? You don't have to get a carrot after you brush your teeth. You just do it. I have this analogy I shared a few times on some of the older episodes. I don't know where I got it from, but like the habit formation is like just rewiring your brain, right? If you think like all the synapses and they're firing a particular way, and now you're trying to do certain things differently, you have to rewire those. So to what you're saying, like if you're trying to like be all the way to the end, which is like the elephant, but it's hard, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be really hard. But if you're driving a highway, right, and it's like a lot of traffic, that's like your current, how you're wired for with your habits. That's how you used to do things. And if trying to do a new habit, it's initially hard, but over time it gets easier. So if you were trying to get off that highway, you have to smash the barriers, and maybe there's like forest on either side of that, and you have to chop some trees initially and walk through the bushes and cut some grass, and it's going to cut you up a little bit. But then as you go over time...
Sounds hard.
Yeah, but get this, right? Once you've done a little bit of a path behind you, and that path starts getting a little bit longer, over time, the behind you, it starts to grow again, because nature, right? So it's like your brain. If you're doing a new thing and you stop doing the old thing, then that wiring in your brain just gets a little bit weaker because the new one gets stronger. So it's kind of like the same thing. So if you're walking through that forest, you're making a new path ahead, it's hard, but behind you starts to growing, and now it's going to be hard to go back as well. So I guess just got to chop one tree at a time and make wins.
It is an effective analogy in terms of just chop one tree at a time. My observation is why people find it difficult is that they've actually got nothing else going on that's actually important to them. And the business is escapism to a large amount of people in the online world, because they can disappear into this 21-inch high-definition portal for 8 hours a day and pretend that their wife loves them and their kids are well-behaved and that the bank account isn't actually empty, it's just temporarily drained. And so a lot of people live in this fantasy of their business and what they're going to do and what they're going to be without actually moving forward in it, because this shit around it isn't actually enjoyable to go back to. And so I don't build a business for building a business's sake. I don't even build a business. I just make stuff and sell it on the internet and then invite a couple of hundred people to my house, one of my houses, a few times a year. But my life's awesome. My wife's amazing. My kids are fun. My life is actually very simple. We take the dogs to the beach, we eat nice food, and we travel for 2 or 3 months a year, having another baby in 3 months, 2 months now. So that will be 4.
Congrats.
And everything I do serves that because I like it. And my business, I made money in a business that fed a life before that I didn't particularly like, but it was fucking hard. And I kept having to escape into it to engineer good feelings inside the business of winning, of success, of money, of those things, and then trying to keep that going when I just sorted my shit out and built a life that I wanted to live, the business became easy because it fed the life that I actually wanted. And I love business. I love talking about it. I find it endlessly fascinating. I think it's a wonderful personal development vehicle. But if your life sucks, you can still make money, but your business is going to be hard because you're going to keep having to escape into it and you're going to squeeze the crap out of it until it's got nothing left, and then you have to go back to your life. And so people who I can tell when someone's building a business that feeds their life, or they're building a business that feeds a fantasy identity that they want to be known for on the internet because you can be a different person, than actually lining those things up. And like, I use this analogy. I just use my head in my business, and I do it with heart because everything else is meant to be there for me because this is my life.
Wow. How many people do you reckon are like that? Like fit into that example? I wonder. And then maybe all of us.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I will say one thing. It's much easier as you get older because you just can't afford to give as many fucks. I'm 46 very shortly, and you just can't afford to give as many fucks about stuff you did as when you're in your 30s, when it's like really important and you're trying to do something and find your way up. And then I think it gets easier with age, but I'm flying to Korea in 24 hours to hang out with some friends, and they're people that people know, and we live like that. And everybody's successful in their own way, and that includes financial success and material success, but everybody's trying to optimize the life they live and who is in it first before they're capable of chasing those things to their maximum. I don't know how big this business gets. I'm doing 6 figures a month of recurring profit, and it's great, but I don't know what it's capable of doing. But I know that if I live a great life that requires money to feed it because we want another house, or we want more property, or we want to travel, it's flipping expensive to fly business class with like soon to be 4 kids. Then I go back to the business and go, who can I help? Anyone want anything? What do you need, guys? And then come up with that. But it feeds something. And that's the point for me.
Lit. I think this is perfect time to finish this interview, mate. And here I thought it was like, we're just going to nerd out on all the high-level stuff and talk about HighLevel. How do you use HighLevel, by the way, in your business? Do you still use it a lot, or?
I copy and paste something I write on social media into HighLevel and send it out as an email at the moment.
Yeah, right.
Up until last week, we still used it to process payments and run an automation and payment processing and landing pages. But we integrated Stripe into our platform, and we've built landing pages inside the platform as well, so we can just deploy them immediately. Nice. So not a lot. I loved HighLevel. My first real foray into monetizing everything and paid to exist was a HighLevel white label called Smart Alex. And it was invented at the time because my Filipino assistant, Alex, who's still with me after 11 years, people were like, where do I get my own Alex? How do I get Alex to do this? And then I was like, why don't you guys just get Smart Alex? Because that's got everything that Alex does for me, landing pages and workshop pages and payment pages and how to build a course and all those things inside it. And it was a GHL white label and I had 260 recurring clients on it. And it was my first true understanding. It was quite a while ago. true understanding of the people will tell you what they want in Alex, and I just reconceptualized what Alex was and packaged it up into a white label.
Yeah.
And that's been the theme. But the
Yeah.
honest answer these days is I'm inside our platform. We're just slowly replacing the things that we use HighLevel for in an AI first way, rather than trying to grab them from another place.
Yeah. It is an interesting shift that's opened up a whole new topic that we could talk about. So I'm seeing it, people vibe coding things. I've got a mate who's vibe coded his very own CRM that's in certain ways better and in certain ways worse. And then I wonder, do I want to go down that path? But then you rely on your own infrastructure and hoping that whatever the vibe code is it going to break? Is it not going to break? So at the moment, I'm very happy to be with HighLevel.
It breaks a lot.
So
I'm not doing what I'm doing without real developers, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't just vibe code it with your one VA. Yeah.
No, the flow is I'm ideation because I know what I want it to do, and I know and I'm the vision around what I know clients need, and over what time frame. I'm ideation, then it's vibe coded, and then it's handed to real developers to make sure it's actually production ready. And also infrastructure. We average across our white labels 32 help desk tickets a day, right? Tiny, there's technical issues, there's usability issues, etc. Most people don't want to be in the software support game. Just the same as most agencies don't want to code their own version of HighLevel because how many times do you need high-level support, et cetera, et cetera. So vibe coding things for internal use is smart when you're condensing process that you've got. Very few people are going to have the long-term appetite to actually build and support and secure, by the way, which a lot of people are missing, their own platforms and run that infrastructure because it's a different game. It's a different business. And it's not gatekeeping it, but people should think very carefully about what they want to be in the business of.
I just want to sleep at night knowing that there's 900 or so developers looking after HighLevel and I don't have to deal with that and I just look after my customers. That's what works for me.
Peace of mind is a very good investment, right?
Yeah. And I've got an RSS feed into my Slack channel and I get those notifications and it's okay, cool, I'm in the loop and this is brilliant. There's no way I would just want to deal with that stuff. So yeah, it's great. All right, let's tell the guys about your offer, what we're doing here, if you want to pitch it, and then we'll wrap it up.
Just go to virtualjk.com.
Brilliant.
Have a chat. He'll get you a game plan, and the game plan is get an online offer that you can put into a Google Doc. Use the game plan tool to scale it to 3K a week, and then I show you how to take that to 3K a day, me and him. He's delivering the training now as well, so my weirdly Americanized virtual accented voice keeps making me kind of sound American, is delivering all the training as well. And then I pop up once a week on a Thursday and you get to jam with the real JK if you want some help. So go to virtualjk.com, and if you like the plan, then you can either go and do it yourself or you can use my tools to build it. Use Virtual JK's tools to build it. See how weird this replicant stuff gets? It's like him, me. He doesn't go on strike and he doesn't have a union or anything as well, so that's the main thing.
Nice. Awesome. James, thank you so much for being on this interview and taking the time out of your busy day. And I don't even know, is your day busy? I don't even think it's busy. You're probably not that busy. You're probably like working out and having fun.
You're the only thing in my calendar today.
Brilliant.
I'll do plenty of work. I'll sit here very happily, but you're the only thing in my calendar. So thank you.
Thank you for that, mate. Last piece of advice you'd like to give to the guys listening. We got a lot of high-levelers, agencies, SaaSpreneurs listening to the show. Any last message you'd like to leave?
Yeah, everything works. All the skills, all the experience, everything you've developed, all the ideas, everything works. Just deploy them into a life that you want, that gives you access and proximity to people that you want to spend time with. And if you do those things, then you'll only do the things that work for you rather than feeling like you have to do everything that actually works in any way.
I like it. Thanks so much, mate. Thank you so much again for being on the show. And guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode on HighLevel Experience podcast. If you know any high-levelers that would benefit from listening, please share this episode. Inside the HighLevel community, there's tons of questions people ask all the time. There's new people joining the platform or existing people trying to overcome certain problems in their business. And these interviews, we have a lot of amazing guests and we cover a lot of different angles, a lot of different things from technical to strategy to personal development. If an episode has hit a chord and you know that somebody's asking for it, just do me a favor, do them a favor, just drop a link in there. It helps them out, helps grow the show, more people listen, and we all benefit, and I can get even more awesome guests like James. So thank you guys again. For anything like that, head over to highlevelexperience.com. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.